This podcast is part of the No Phony Podcast Network, the home of independent awesomeness.
But they were all just incredible experiences. It was a wonderful experience. I'm talking to you on an iPad that's on top of a box.
Casey, today's a great day.
Yes, it is, sir.
Do you know why it's a great day?
Friday night, man.
Because you and I are together, Casey. We're together again for our 11th episode.
We made it 11.
I don't know how we did it. And we got some good momentum going. I'm really impressed. I mean, we got like this little community following us, and people are actually seem to be enjoying what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with those people? This is a shit show. But hey, if people are into it, let's keep doing it.
Yeah, we got a lot of great feedback from last week's episode with Tammy Stronach from The Never Ending Story. It's really good.
That was a cool one for sure. So I heard you had a pretty good last couple of days. You almost didn't make it to this podcast. You're just getting into your seat.
Yeah, it was a rough few days. I'm not used to drinking and hanging out all day by the lake, with a bunch of friends. And it was awesome, man. I saw some guys I haven't seen in a long, long time. Remember I was telling you about that I used to do the whole pro wrestling thing?
That's right.
Yeah, it was a bunch of guys from my old wrestling days. So it was a lot of fun.
How long has it been since you've seen them?
About 20 years.
Wow. Yeah. There must have been a lot of drinking.
A lot of drinking. Yeah. I think I might have had about 637 Moscow mules.
Just in one night?
It was one night. Yeah, then the next night I had 337 White Claws.
Oh, okay. Oh, the White Claw challenge. You should be legally dead right now. You probably have nothing but alcohol in you. How are you not hungover? I know clearly you didn't have that much, but
right. Thursday night when I got there, I hammered the Moscow mules pretty good, and I was the last man standing. And then Friday I didn't drink it all Friday, and Saturday I had a few White Claws while we were in the Lake Wallenpaupack on the lake.
Yeah, very fancy. Look at you with the White Claws.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever had them.
Figured you were like a Miller Lite guy.
No, I'm not a beer guy. I'm not a real big beer guy at all, and that's all those guys. Like a lot of those guys had the beer, but Paulie and Cotton were drinking White Claws. And I said, let me try one of those. It's pretty good.
You liked them? I know. I think it was last summer was tons of those alcoholic seltzers. This summer I had an alcoholic water. I mean, it was just alcohol and water. And I was like, what the fuck else are they going to make? I mean, there's nothing else they can put alcohol in. Once you get the water, it's like, you're done. There's nothing left. Everything's been made.
Was it flavored?
I think there was a hint of something. It was terrible. It was awful.
Because I'm not a big fan of the seltzers. Like, I'm not a big fan of seltzer drinks. But with that little bit of flavor in it, was like the raspberry ones. Yeah. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially like on a real hot boat in the middle of a lake.
You're highbrow now. I don't even know you. You're too classy for me. I was like, thinking you're drinking Schlitz and Natural Life, and now you're now at White Claw. Damn, I thought I knew you.
Yeah, and before that, it was Tito's and ginger beer, and out of the copper mug for the Moscow Mules.
Yeah. Well, I think you had a better week than me. So we had big storms around here. So I had to deal with a flooded basement, which was like the saddest thing because that's like the only room that I hang out in is that basement. Now it smells like mildew. It was terrible. So I finally got all the carpets ripped out, got everything like to the point where I could just turn the basement back into the heaven it was. So last night I was like, thank God I'm back. Like I was encroaching in my wife's space. I was just like walking around the house. I don't know what to do. I don't know my basement. So last night, my wife and I had a friend over, and I said to this woman, I said, have you ever seen Friday the 13th? She said, no, I really don't know what it is. Is that the one with Michael Myers? No, how the hell can you say that? A little bit younger than us. So I was like, let me show you something. I want to see what you think of this. I've never met anybody who's actually never seen a Friday the 13th movie. Even my son somehow has seen a Friday the 13th movie before I had a chance to show him. So I put it on, and she's like, yeah, I like monster movies. You know, I can handle it. And 5 minutes in, she's horrified, just absolutely horrified. It was part 4. Part 4 starts with like recaps from part 1, 2, and 3. It's just nothing but the kills. So in like 5 minutes, you've seen 800 people die brutally. And she just has, like, her face is white. She says to me, she looks at me, she goes, what kind of fucked up person makes these movies? And I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, you know, I've been watching these since I was a kid, but you got to be pretty fucked up to keep making these movies. And I was thinking about what I really like about these Friday the 13th movies. And it dawned on me that what I think I like the most about them is that low budget quality, that like it's so almost poorly made that you can see how they're making it. You know, have you ever done, do you know what the soap opera effect is on your TV?
I don't think so.
It's a thing that you can get by changing like the motion smoothing on your TV, and it makes it look like a soap opera. It makes it look like it was filmed like a soap opera was, which isn't the way that you're supposed to see film movies. But when you have it on, sometimes you can actually look at the movie and kind of see the green screen behind it. Like everything just looks a little bit more realistic, and then you can kind of see what the movie's like without all the whatever polish, you know. So it dawns on me that I prefer watching these kind of independent movies or these poorly made cheap movies maybe better than I like big Hollywood blockbusters. I really enjoy the shit out of those movies.
I do too, man. I really like it a lot. And now that I found, like, speaking of the Friday the 13th, I didn't realize that there's like a whole nother series of those movies that are fan created. You were telling me about, remember?
Yeah,
that's fucking awesome. Like which makes it even like more cheesy because I've seen clips of one because the girl from Joe Bob's show is in it, and I was just checking it out to see what it was like because I didn't know anything like that existed.
Friday the 13th Vengeance or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And they're not bad. Like they're almost as good as those movies. I mean,
right.
The feel is different because we're not in the 80s anymore. But I've seen, there's I wish I could remember the name off the top of my head, but somebody had made a Batman movie, and they had Batman, they had the Joker, and then all of a sudden, Batman is fighting Predator. Friggin' Predator jumps in, and now Batman and Predator are fighting. I'm like, this is a freaking homemade movie. This is better than half the shit, you know, that's on the big screen. And then after they're done fighting, the alien jumps in from the Aliens movies. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and it looks incredibly good. Some of these things are amazing.
And that's on YouTube?
Yeah, it's all on YouTube. So wow. The Jason movies, you know, the Batman movies, there's a lot of Star Wars movies that are fan made. Some are real dog shit, and some are really impressive. And I'm really, now that I'm getting older, really starting to like these kind of movies better. There was a movie that came out one time, like nobody should like this movie, but this tells you how screwed up I am. It was like 1966. This movie's called Rat Finka Boo Boo. Okay, evidently it was like started out as a real cop movie or a detective movie, and I guess like 45 minutes into the movie, they're looking at their footage as they're making this movie, and they're like, "This thing sucks." Like. We're done. Like, we got to figure out a way to salvage this movie. So they turn it all of a sudden into a superhero comedy. Like, in a second, you hear like the slapstick music. Like all of a sudden the tone changes. They put on like a ski mask to be like, it's a take on Batman. Like instead of having the Batmobile, they have the Finkmobile.
Okay.
And they're just running around wrestling people and beating people up. Like the movie just changes into a comedy. All of a sudden, they're fighting a giant guy in a gorilla suit. Like, what the? Like, the whole thing just changes. And they just must have been like, look, we're screwed. We have a contract. We have to get a movie out. I don't know what to do. Let's bring in a giant dude in a gorilla suit and let's battle him as superheroes. It's just crazy to me. And I enjoy the shit out of that kind of nonsense.
And they just change the movie like halfway through, like with no explanation or anything. It just changes.
Nope, just changes.
And what's that one called?
That's Rat Fink of Boo Boo.
There's a whole like genre of art called rat fink. Do you ever see that?
No, what's that?
It's like that rat, that weird rat that's it's always in like a hot rod,
Hot rod.
car.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget those. I used to know some of those artists.
Yeah, I can't remember any of their names.
Yeah, a lot of that alternative animation, alternative illustration stuff is pretty cool too. That might be one to do a cool show around.
For sure.
So speaking of low budget movies, so I watched this movie because you'll tell us in a moment who our guest is. But this movie was called Limbo that I got a chance to watch, and I know you've seen it too. I mean, Limbo is a great movie. Like I was watching this the other day. Talk about low budget. It was just a really sort of small production. There was really only like 2 or 3 different sets, but it was just a smart movie. It was a fun movie, and the whole thing kind of came together. And at the end, it had a trick ending. And I was like, I love these independent, small budget movies. Keep making them. But I'm always wondering about how many there are. So our guest, why don't you go ahead and say who our guest is, since I'm teasing?
All right. So our guest is Richard Riehle. Everything that I've seen him in, I remember his part specifically from that movie. He's just a great character actor. He's been in Star Trek, The Young and the Restless, Grounded for Life, Tremors, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Quantum Leap, Roseanne. Just some of the movies he's been in: Free Willy, The Fugitive, Lightning Jack, Casino, The Fan. He's been in over 400 television shows and movies. I mean, we thought Larry Hankin had a lot of credits to his name. I mean, holy shit, this guy has been around. He's got a 50-year career.
Oh, really? That long?
Yeah, man.
Well, all right. So I was leading up to the fact that you said everything he's been in, he's been memorable. That can't be true. When you're in 400 some movies, there's some stuff.
I didn't say that. I said that everything that I've seen him in has been memorable.
Got it. Okay.
I remember him in everything that I've seen him in. I remember his character specifically because it's always great. Like he's in Office Space. There's a great scene a couple great scenes in Office Space with him. And it's just like I just watched them the other day. They're great scenes.
But some of the movies, when I'm going through his IMDb, some of his movies, I'm just like, I've never heard of that or that. And maybe we should ask him about it. Like, how do these things get made? You know, who's putting money behind them? Who writes them? How do these things actually get to being produced? Now with the internet, maybe it's easier. But before the internet, it was only home video. Like that was the only alternative to being on the screen. So people are spending a lot of money on some of these things. And I always wonder when they fail, because most of them seem to fail. Most of these movies, most people haven't heard of. Like when you go down his list, you know, like
right.
They're low budget movies. They have to have an audience. They wouldn't keep making these things if there wasn't some reason to believe that they would turn back money. That whole low budget industry really just fascinates me. Like Troma. Have you ever seen the Troma movies?
Yeah, actually, if I wouldn't have been at the lake this weekend, I was going to go to the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. They had a Troma weekend there this weekend where they played I think 6 different Troma movies, and actually Lloyd Kaufman, the owner and like writer of all of the Troma movies, he was there for the weekend.
Really? That's cool. Well, you know, he wrote a book. I think he made wasn't one of his movies, Terror Firmer, wasn't it sort of based on behind the scenes of making a movie? I'm kind of screwing up some of his stories, or some of his movies rather. But yeah, I mean, he calls that kind of movie making as kind of sloppy and, you know, loose and wild as it is. He thinks of it as art. Yeah, and I think I do too. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, he made a career of it. I mean, and a lot of people. He wrote a book on how to make movies like that. You know, how to make movies. I forget what the book is called, but it's pretty much how to make low budget movies.
Didn't I just say that? Is it called How to Make Your Own Damn Movie or something like that? Yeah, I think it's
something like that.
Oh man,
it's about making low budget movies.
Yeah, I hope Lloyd's not listening. I sound like a shitty fan. I don't even know the name of his book. We should have him on the show. He's got stories. I guarantee he's got stories.
Yeah, for sure. I'll try to get him.
Well, Casey, enough of my rambling anyway about that stuff. So, Richard's coming up soon. We got a couple minutes left. What should we do with these minutes?
How about some plugs?
Are you going to read them again? I love when you read.
No, I'm going to go right off the top of my head. I don't have anything to read this time. I did forget to mention a couple people that we interviewed that I should have threw in the plugs last week. DougDanger.net. You can go get his book. If you go to DougDanger.net, you can get it signed by Doug. And also Joey Allen from Warrant. I just check out Warrant's Twitter page or Instagram. They don't. Joey doesn't have his own account anywhere except on Facebook. I guess you can friend him if you want to. So our plugs: Twitter, Instagram. All those were Deluxe Edition Pod, only one E, and then Facebook Deluxe Edition, yet another pop culture podcast. We have a website, deluxeedition.show. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/Deluxe Edition Pod. And that is it, Bill. Richard is here in the waiting room, so let's rock and roll. So welcome to the show, Richard. It's good to have you.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
So we were talking we do a little intro before we get started, and we were talking about your long career, and I was reading that out of all these different roles that you had, you could have also possibly been Cliff Clavin. Is that true on Cheers?
No, I don't know where. Yeah, that's one of those urban myths that keep coming up, and nobody seems to be able to deal with it. The closest I've come to that is my cousin Mike Maher went to school with Cliff, and they did a lot of films together when they were at Sacred Heart University in Stamford, Connecticut. But that's about as much as I know about that.
Well, somebody's got to change your IMDb page then, because that's on the trivia on there.
Oh, there's lots of things on the trivia. I supposedly I'm married with 4 kids on the trivia. I don't know what that's all about.
Wow.
I'm fascinated by your beard. So we do.
I see we're all bearded. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just not expecting that. I think you look fantastic with the beard. Have you ever rocked that beard before in a movie?
I have. Not quite this look, although I've done Santa Claus 15 times with various beards that they put on me. And I had a different looking beard for a priest that I did. And I'm glad I had the beard because it was in January. It was colder than heck.
So in preparation for talking to you, I went on to IMDb, doing my homework, and, I wanted to see all the movies you were in, and it just said everything. I got to figure you've been asked the question, what's your favorite role? So I'm going to try to turn that on its head. What is your least favorite role or least favorite experience working in the movie business?
Well, that's just been so interesting. People constantly are asking about various directors and actors that I've worked with, thinking I'll come up with some story. And so far, knock wood, it's been amazing. I did Transformers, and everybody was saying, "Oh my God, that's going to be just a terrible experience." And I got there, and it was Transformers 4, I believe, and we were in Chicago. And I got there, and they came up to me and he said, "I'm so glad you're doing this. Here's the trailer. If there's anything you want, just let me know." And it was a wonderful experience the whole time. The closest I came to seeing anything was there was this one poor actor. It was shot in 3D, which everything is so complicated. You have to be right exactly in the frame, or if you slip off for one camera, the 3D doesn't work. And there was the one actor that was playing my grandson. He kept moving just too far to one side as I was running up this flight of stairs. And after about 3 times going up the stairs, I got down there, and Michael said, "Listen, don't make this old guy run up the stairs one more time, please. Show some kindness." And like I said, that was the most I saw of what had become famous of his flyer. He's amazing as a director in that he shoots everything. He has all of these cameras, and they'll just give him the camera with the lens he wants on it, and he'll be shooting. He always has one camera in every shot.
Yeah. Well, every time I've heard you talk or seen you interviewed, you're always so positive. So I was really like, I'm going to get the scoop. I'm going to find out what he hates. I'm going to find out what director he hates, what movie he hates, but I doubt there's anything. It seems like you've had a lot of fun in your life.
I've had a great time, and that's always been, I don't think I would still be doing this if I wasn't having a good time. About 12 years ago, I was doing the third season of Grounded for Life, and I was in New York doing a play, and I was getting ready to go back and do the third season. And they contacted my agents. They said, "Look, we don't want you as a regular anymore. We'd love to have you come back for several episodes." I said, "Fine, good, whatever." And then I said to my agents, "Look, whenever I go to the movie theater, I gravitate toward independent films because there's something about them. There's an excitement, there's an energy, there's a passion about them, and they're always so interesting. There's something quirky about them too. The stories are interesting. And can you get me auditions for any of those?" I said, "Oh well, it's real hard. They don't use the regular casting services and blah blah blah." And I said, "Well, see what you can do." I came back to LA, and they got lined up 3 auditions for me. Greg Araki's Mysterious Skin, Todd Solondz's Palindromes, and Larry Clark's Ken Park. And I went and I met with all of them, and I auditioned for them, and they all cast me, which I was excited about, and I ended up doing all of them that summer. Each one was 180 degrees different than the other one, both in terms of the character, the story, the way the directors worked, whatever. But they were all just incredible experiences. And they all got some sort of release. And once they were out there, I got a little bit of independent cred, where people who were doing independent films were willing to send me a script and not be afraid that it would, that it would be an automatic no, or that my agents wouldn't get it to me or whatever. And that's pretty much what I've been doing since what was that, 2005, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because we were talking about that before we started speaking with you. We were talking about independent movies. We were talking about the low budget movies and how sometimes they are a lot more fun to watch. And you can almost, and it's just what you said, sometimes they're quirkier, but it's also, you can see through them a little bit more. They're not so polished in a way that you're completely taken out of the entire film. I like being a little bit more into the film. And I think you get that out of independent movies. It's a little bit more, I'm trying to find the word, like authorship. There's a little bit more art in independent films, it seems, even when it's a poor or low budget production.
Yeah.
Just to me anyway. And are you finding that a lot more people are coming into independent films? Maybe now with the internet, maybe it's easier to see these films and distribute
Well,
these?
it's become a little bit easier, but I still have trouble even finding the films that I've done sometimes. Getting to see them. I mean, distribution is still whatever it is, whether it's streaming or different networks, is still a problem. But doing the films has become a little bit easier for the filmmakers, because the technology in the last 10 years has just been incredible with digital and video and all of that. I did a Western. It was a little low budget Western, a blind man's, blind man something. We shot it in Abiquiu, New Mexico, which is where Georgia O'Keeffe had her studio. And you see the countryside in all the backgrounds of her pictures. And the director said, "I really want to make the countryside another character in this film. And I don't think I can do it digitally. So I'm going to do it. We're going to shoot on film." And I said, "That's great." But he says, "You have to understand, this is a low budget film. So we're shooting all on short ends." And I don't know if a lot of times, back in the day, especially, the filmmakers, little independent filmmakers, would get short ends. They would get what was left at the end of a reel of film. And it could be like, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 9 minutes, usually not any more than that. And then they would shoot that. But it was real fast. You had real fast startups, and you would go and try and get done. The AD would come and say, "We have 2.5 minutes to get this scene." And so, you know, quick start and please get done in time. But it looks, it really does look incredibly different. There's a warmth to it. There's a three-dimensionality to it that's not quite there yet in digital. And I thought he did a great job of it. But normally everything is digital, and the advantage of that is they're editing while you're shooting. You know, you can see immediately what you shot, and if there need any changes, you can do that right then. And usually often the editor is right there on the set and is going along and editing. By the next day, you see the scene that you shot the day before.
Oh wow! So that probably really helps with your next, you know, when you got another scene coming up, you're like, I know how that's been edited, put together. I can play off that a little bit easier. Yeah,
exactly. Oh yeah.
You mentioned earlier, you were talking about, you know, your agents bringing you the roles. I've always wondered how that works in Hollywood. Like, is it a manager? Is it certain agents that just, who is your team? Who do you work with? Who brings you the opportunities?
I have to go through my agents. That's sort of the way it's set up. And when I made this request about, you know, I want to do independent films, there was one guy on the agency that I've been with, Stone Manners, they are called that now. They just changed their name. They're artists and representatives. They had one guy on the staff at that time who really gravitated, who really said, okay, I'll see what I can do. And he really found me a lot of these independent films early on and got them through. There is a point, because the agents make almost nothing on an independent film. I mean, if you're making, you know, $100 or $125 a day shooting an independent film, even if they're getting 10%, that's $12. You know, that barely pays for their internet fees. And and so they would rather have you do something that paid a little more, so that they can do a little better. And it's hard for them to make their nut as well. Yeah, a lot of scripts come through them. Now, the advantage of having worked as long as I have is that I've worked with a lot of people. So I occasionally will get calls or emails from people I've worked with before saying, we're trying to put this project together. Is there any way you might be available at this time to do it? Or would you be interested in doing it? Or can we send you a script? And I'll say, sure. And then, you know, I'd read the script, and if I liked it, and I almost always, I think I probably turned down 5 scripts in my career. You know, if there's always something interesting about them. And I'll say, okay, now I need to send this, or you need to send this to my agents, and they will, you know, they'll deal with all that. I don't, you know, handle any of that sort of stuff. And they're very good about it. I've never had anybody refuse to, you know, go through my agents.
I see. Do you remember every movie you've made? If you have more than 400 movies?
You know, yes and no. Blind Man's, I can't remember what the last word of that title is, and I was the blind man. No, but I know that's probably what I remember. No, but there's some have changed the titles since we shot them. There was one. Actually, the last time I had a beard sort of like this was in a film that when we shot it, it was called Dismal, and we shot it in the Dismal Swamps in Virginia. And it was about a preacher who goes crazy, kills his family, runs away and hides out in the swamp. And then the police can't find him. A couple of years later, some businessmen go out there camping, and they get too close to his place. So he tries to scare them off. They won't scare off. So he kills one and takes the other back to his cabin and waits for the word to come about what he should do to him. And the guy manages to escape. He has to track him down, drag him back. And in the end, he zips him up in his sleeping bag and throws him into the swamp. You don't know what happens to him. And it was written and directed by a guy who was the best boy on a TV film I did a couple of years before that at Universal, Ray Brown. And he said, look, would you be interested in this? And he sent me the script and said, this is great. I've always wanted to do a role like this. But I don't know what they call it now. The last I heard it was something like Desperate Escape, you know, so sometimes it's hard to find the films.
Well, I thought it would be fun to quiz you on some of your.
Oh gosh. Okay, go ahead.
All right, I have 5 titles here, and it's not movies, just movies. It's movies and TV
Okay.
programs that you've been on. All right, one of these are false. I want to see if you can tell me the fake movie.
Okay, good luck.
Number 1, Gay Baby.
Yeah, I did that one. Yeah, it was a short film that a director friend of mine said, look, there's this kid that I'm sort of mentoring, and he has this idea for a film, and was there any chance that you could do it? We could shoot you out, in one Saturday afternoon here in Los Angeles, and you play a doctor. And it's actually kind of an interesting thing because an interesting role, because you're trying to dissuade him from having this kid. And so I liked the film. I thought he did a good job of it. I think this is pretty film.
Yeah, I saw the title. I was like, well, that stands out. Let me see what this is about. So I was a short. I was like, this actually sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
How about the 12 Dogs of Christmas? Were you in that movie?
I was definitely in that movie. I had done this movie called Restless. Again, I don't think that's what it's called anymore, but it was with some wonderful actors. But I played just a dumb cop. It's a really twisted plot about this a dirty police officer who's working with this guy, and then he double crosses him, and he's going to go off with the girlfriend, but the girlfriend double crosses the cop, and they all end up getting killed. And all I do is I keep wandering into places where there's all these dead bodies. And it was a great film. I really enjoyed doing it. Well, he was the first AD on it, and he had an idea for a film, 3 Dogs of Christmas, and he knew I had done a couple of talking dog movies. And so he said, would you be interested in doing this? And he sent me the script, and I said, yeah, it looks good. And so we went down to Phoenix to shoot it, shot it at his house with his mother's dogs who were trained. and so it was a little crazy, but we had a great time.
You really remember all these. All right, the Golden Girls, true or false? Were you on the Golden Girls?
I was for 2 episodes. I played a detective that comes to kind of give them a hard time. They're tangentially involved in some sort of crime, and I'm essentially telling them, look, either fess up or you're going to be in a lot of trouble. They were great. Those women were just incredible.
How about Kirk, the Kirk Cameron led sitcom?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, I did. In fact, I think I did 2 episodes, and I think it was his last 2 episodes, the last 2 episodes of the show, and because it ended up with a big party. It was really a good time. At that point, they had it down pat. I mean, you came in and everything was bing bang boom. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly how to get it done. He couldn't have been a better guy. And then I did Fuller House a couple weeks ago, and his sister goes, "Oh, I don't know if you know that, but Kirk's my brother." And I said, "Oh, that's wonderful. We had a great time doing the show." Yeah.
How about First Year Veterans? Do you remember that one?
First Year Veterans? No, I don't.
Good, because that's the fake movie. That's the name of my fantasy football team. So yeah, you remember all of this stuff. That's fantastic. What do you like doing better? Do you like doing TV or do you like doing movies?
I love them all. I just love to work. TV is fun for the most part because you're there with it's almost like doing theater again. You're there with a group, and they've been working together, and they've really created sort of a family. Whether you're a regular on a series or whether you're a guestie on a series, there's that sense of people that have been together for a while, and they have a shorthand, and they're obviously usually. I mean, as far as I could tell, they're having a good time. Maybe some of them weren't. I don't know, but in my experience, it's a fun group of people to be working with. In a film, everything is so often piecemeal, and you may never see people that are in the film with you. I remember there was one year where I did 3 films with Kathy Bates and only saw her once, and and that was only because we played husband and wife. So that one, a Prelude to a Kiss. But but film, usually it used to be, and it's not quite the case anymore, that there was a little more time, that, you know, there's a little the luxury of having a little more time to shoot the film. And so you got, you know, you got a chance to try things, try things a little more than in TV. TV is really, you know, you got to get it done by the end of the week, and that's it. And then but I love going back and forth. It's really exciting. You meet so many people.
What production do you think you're most recognized for? You got one of those faces that when it comes up, you go, "Oh yeah, wow, I love this guy. He's everywhere." But there's got to be a few that people really recognize you for, and I bet I know what it is. I want to hear what you say.
Office Space,
for sure.
Everybody recognizes me from Office Space, and then there was a period when Office Space had been out for a while, when I was doing Grounded for Life, and it was during the hiatus, and I was in New York doing a play. And so I was on the street a lot or in the subway a lot, and I get the sense that people were recognizing me. Sometimes, once in a while, they'd say something, but most of the time they didn't. So I would kind of just listen and hear what they were talking about. And for about a week, I made a list. And at that point, it was about 50% Office Space, about 20% Grounded for Life, and then about 20% whatever was on late night cable that week. So, you know, so one week it would be The Fugitive, the next week it would be Joe Dirt, and, you know, and that was always, and then there was the 10% that they knew me, but they weren't sure if I had been a teacher of theirs in middle school, or if I worked at the deli down the block, or what it was. But they knew me. They couldn't tell from what.
That's excellent. So I love talking about independent movies. We saw your new movie. We saw Limbo.
Oh,
and
right.
so, I mean, that's a perfect example. We were talking about it before you came on, just how, you know, this is a really smart movie. It's an independent movie. It's a small, I mean, there's like 3 different rooms. There isn't really, you know, a giant, you know, set.
Not locations, no.
Yeah, and that just, I thought that came together really well. And the ending twist was one I'd never seen before. Didn't even see it coming.
No. Reading it, I didn't see it coming. It was a wonderful experience. I got the script from a casting director who I'd worked with, who had put me in a number of films, and she said, "Look, there's this little independent film. There's not a lot of money involved with it, but there's a role I think you're really gonna, you know, enjoy. And would you read it?" I said, "Yeah, of course." And I read it, and I said, "This is great. I really want to be part of this." And so the additional impetus for me was the fact that reading it, I realized I would be there the whole time to watch all these incredible actors come through and do their turns, and they were amazing. Except for Scotty, there was nobody in the cast that I had worked with before, but I had seen them and everything, and that was really exciting. And then Mark Young, who was the director, did an interesting thing. He didn't over direct us, and he did, as each person came in, he kind of directed them separately. And so we never knew exactly what they were going to be like when they showed up. So like when James Purefoy comes in, you know, and I'd seen him doing all of these laser type of mean guys. I had, oh God, as Lucifer, he's going to just knock you. And we heard him coming down the hallway, clunk, 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 clunk. We go, oh Jesus, I can't wait to see what he does. And then, well, how y'all doing? And I went, oh my God, this is wonderful. But then at the same time, there was always that glint in his eye, so that you knew that if you stepped out of line, you know, you were done for. So even though and then at the end you go, oh well, that's it, fine, good, let's go on to the next thing. You know, whoa! But yeah, everybody was like that. Peter Jacobson had no idea that he was going to come in and just take off after Scotty like that. Just it was scary.
Does that stuff ever get improvised? I mean, when you have actors that are that good, do they sort of take the script and run with it?
Yes and no. The script, I don't think we varied much the script, if at all. But in the interpretation of the script, perhaps it wasn't what I expected it to be when I read the script, or not necessarily. You know, all of those lines, I think, were lines that Mark wrote. I know I didn't have any lines that were, you know, that that were either written by him or given to me, there on the set, but by him. But I think that was pretty much the case with all the actors. But the way they chose to interpret them, I thought was very interesting.
So you were given those dirty jokes that you told, because I want to believe that you came with those jokes prepared and just launched them.
Not a chance. No, they were all written by Mark, and he wrote so many, unfortunately, that they couldn't all fit into the movie. So there's one that's gone. I wish I could remember what it is. I have to see if I find that script somewhere. But he didn't tell me when we had the screening that he had put one during the closing credits, and so it was a real treat to see that one show up.
Yeah, that was good. How's the pandemic helping? I'm sure it's not helping. It's probably not. It's probably hurting your career now more than anything. But what's it like now? What do you do in your time? Can you still book, roles, or is it still up in the air as to when you all go back to work again?
That's pretty much it. There's nothing going on right now. Actually, it's not exactly true. I mean, like Tyler Perry just finished doing a season of Sisters down in Atlanta, but he has a bubble down there, an old Army base that he's made into his studio, and it's got the sound stages and places for the actors and crew to live. So he keeps everybody quarantined. He said even then it was really difficult to do it. And I noticed that General Hospital just started shooting again, and I watched an episode, and it doesn't look radically different. There's a couple of times when you get a sense that they're keeping a little more distance than usual, but on the other hand, there's kissing and hugging and the usual. I haven't seen any bedroom scenes yet, but otherwise there's really nothing going on. I know there was a period in May when it looked like things were going to sort of open up again, and so I got a couple of scripts, and but they've all ended up being pushed. There was one script called 500 Butterflies, a kind of coming of age script they were going to shoot in Virginia, and at first they were going to shoot it in August, and then it got moved to November. And then last I heard, about 2 weeks ago, I got an email saying we're looking at May 2021. I hope that's not it. At the same time, I've got a couple of scripts that there's one that called 30 Seconds of Hell, which is sort of a rethinking of the gunfight at the OK Corral, and the way it's written, it's except for the actual gunfight. It's pretty much, one person at a time. That Destiny, the hostess, brings all the combatants back from the dead to question them, sort of thing. And so they want to do it. They want to start shooting the 21st of September, and I haven't gotten details on it, but that's the last I heard from them. And then I just got an email from. That's in New Mexico, and then I got an email from a guy that's doing a film called Old Man Jackson, which is a very, very funny film about a guy who just has a terrible day. He wakes up, he thinks he feels old, and he's afraid that he might be dying, so he tries to find out, and wherever he goes, he gets in trouble. He goes to a healthcare place, and they throw him out. He goes to a church, and the priest throws him out, whatever. And it's a very funny script. And they're now he hasn't given me the date, but he says, I'm sending you the latest schedule, and this coming week. And as far as I know, they were planning on shooting it somewhere in Texas. So I don't know what his plans are with that. But yeah, it's right now. Nobody knows. It's all totally up in the air.
Yeah, things are crazy. So I heard you say earlier that working on TV is sort of like working in theater, because it's like more like a family atmosphere. You started your career in theater, right?
Oh, I did indeed. For about for 15 and almost 20 years, I was doing theater. I did regional theater all around the country, and then I went to New York with a Broadway show, and stayed there for about 8 or 9 years before I came out here to LA. And I've even done a few plays since I've been out here. But yeah, I enjoyed theater. I had a great time doing it. And I think if you look at the three mediums, theater is the actor's medium, because you get a rehearsal period. You get to really learn who the character is and what the story is and where they fit in it. And then when you perform it from beginning to end every time, and you get immediate response from the audience. And it's you and the audience essentially with the writers' words and the other actors. And then I think TV is mainly the writer's medium. I remember the first TV show I did when I got to LA was My Two Dads, and I was working with Dakin Matthews and Eric Christmas, and we were playing a family. Eric was the grandfather, Dakin was the father, and I was the son. And we figured we had among us probably 150 years of experience, and it was a good script, and we were doing some fun scenes. But the minute you shoot the scene, and it was a front audience, you shoot the scene, and then if there wasn't a laugh, immediately the writers would change it, because they didn't think that the actors or the directors could make something work. So it was constantly being rewritten. And then in film, it's mainly the director and editors, and you're, as an actor, you're trying to give them the best raw material from which they can tell the story, because in the end, they're the ones that put the story together.
Wow.
Well, Richard, thank you so much for your time. We were thrilled to talk to you because, we've seen you so many times in our lives. So I was just wondering, I wonder what he's like in real life. And you're as charming and wonderful as we hoped you'd be.
Oh God, come on.
And really, everybody who's listening, Limbo really is a great movie. We were watching it the other day, my wife and I, and we just thought, holy cow, this is a really smart movie. It felt a little bit like theater too, in a way. The way I guess that was sort of put together.
Yeah.
Very character driven, and it was just it's a great movie. So in closing, we want to let you go. Where can people find you? Where is Limbo? Because we're very important. We got past a screener, so we're very important people. But where can the rest of the people find it?
Here's where you got me, because I have no idea what social media or anything is. I mean, I'm talking to you on an iPad that's on top of a box. I mean, I don't understand any of this technology, but they told me that it's on DVD, so you can order it on DVD. It's on VOD, so the new films thing, so I guess you can order it there, and it's streaming somewhere, and God only knows where that is, because I don't.
Google Play, Amazon Prime Video, all of those.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, if you look up Limbo, they'll tell you. They'll direct you to a place to get it. But do get it, because it's a fun movie. It really does play up, and there's some amazing performances right down the line. Everybody.
Yeah, it's super.
Yeah, I'll make sure I put the links to where everyone can find it in.
Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really don't have no idea the story.
Are you on any types of like Cameo or anything like that where people can find you?
I don't even know what that is.
All right.
No, I'm sorry.
Well, that's all right. We appreciate you taking the time out of the day to do this, man. We had a lot of fun. This was fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad, because I sure did. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, James, let's go over your defense.
What defense?
Quite the model citizen. Armed robbery, grand theft, assault, battery.
Can someone tell me what the hell is going on?
You are dead.
So where am I now then?
Limbo. It's a neutral place between heaven and hell.
There is no way that this lowlife's getting into heaven whilst I'm stuck here.
When you die, you die. You're dead. End of story. That's it. Done.
I trust you about as far as I can spit.
You smell that? That's the smell of victory.
Limbo. What is that?
Closer to hell. It's more like Jersey.